Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here, and today I want to talk about the build that I'm playing now in Diablo 4 Season 5. Yeah, I know we just played the Fireball build. Don't worry, it's still really good, still really great. It does the endgame stuff, but I have a very limited amount of time in Season 5 because I'm going to be going and flying out to Blizzard HQ to test some stuff here in a couple of days, and then I'm going on my very first family vacation in like 5+ years after that. So I'm not going to be around a lot in the next couple of weeks. So we're trying to get through a couple of different builds. But this Lightning Spear build is absolutely busted. It does so much damage and is a lot of fun. Before we hop into that, I noticed that about 78% of you do not subscribe to the channel. And if you are interested in supporting the channel, this is the best way to do it. If you like ARPG content, I try to cover a whole bunch of different ARPGs, and I don't really take like very many, if any, sponsors on the channel, so this is the best thing you can do. Now, getting right into the build, what makes it so broken is this aspect right here, the aspect of splintering energy. This makes it so that when your lightning spears critically strike, they do a zap of damage to the target, and then up to 5 other enemies as well. And this is increased by critical strike damage, and by increased it means like multiplied directly. And so we're going to go and get as much critical strike damage as we possibly can find. This is giving us like about 1739% multiplicative damage right now. This will probably get changed next season because they don't really typically let you have just like an uncapped crazy multiplier like this, but it does make the build feel really good and really fun, so hopefully they'll adjust that. Now, I did not start this build until I have a Harlequin Crest. Harlequin Crest gives you a ton of cooldown reduction, which is very important for keeping up unstable currents. We're going to try to keep unstable currents up as much as possible, and lowering the cooldown of this as much as possible is very important. And Ice Blades helps a little bit, but also the aspect of the Orange Herald makes it so you get a lucky hit chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate skills by 2 seconds. And so all of these kind of work together. Now, if you don't have this yet, what you can go and do instead is just play with either a hectic aspect. You can go and switch the key passive here over to overflowing energy to try to get like more shock stuff kind of going on. With crackling energy, you'll probably also want to switch the spark over to this to get more crackling energy. And but yeah, you probably just want to go and do fractured winter glass if you have that. If not, I have a whole bunch of them. I could probably give some help to some people, but it is like going to feel a lot better once you go and get a Harlequin Crest. And ideally you want to get as much cooldown reduction as possible in the build all over the place, along with the critical strike damage. Now, I've talked a bunch. Let's go show you some gameplay here. It's going to run a tier 100 pit. This is always pretty fast. For enchantments, we're running Firebolt and Ice Blades enchantment, which is pretty good. If you're kind of running low on the cooldown of gear though, you can switch the Frostblades enchantment out for Lightning Spear enchantment. This makes it so that when you pick up a crackling energy, you have a 10% chance of spawning a Lightning Spear, which can just help with the damage. So the playstyle here is Lightning Spear is just going to kill everything. So as you cast out one single Lightning Spear, this is just one Lightning Spear going out here, just murderizing everything. But that's not enough for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate Unstable Currents, and we just spam Spark. And Spark has a 1 in 4 chance of summoning a spear. As you can see here, tracking this little green number, our number of spears, this kind of continues to grow as we move along. And yeah, they will just absolutely murderize everything. It stuns everything it hits, because it stuns every time it crits. And for the most part, enemies don't even really get to fight back, because, you know, they get stunned right away, and then they get to, if they survive being stunned, well, they're probably getting frozen from our lucky hit. And if they survive that, well, I don't know where this pit's going. Down this way. If they survive getting all of that, then they're probably a boss. So yeah, it's just very, very fun. It's very, very smooth. And especially for doing stuff like pits, it feels pretty quick. You could even probably drop the Ice Blades for like a teleport enchantment or something while you're doing like lower level pits if you really want to blast. and it wouldn't really take away from anything except the bossing, especially because you probably don't need that. Ooh. So with cooldown reduction, our damage is really going to go crazy. We just need to watch out for enemies that explode on death. Right now, like, pretty much the only thing that can kill me in this level of pit would be an enemy that explodes on death, or I guess one of these guys that prevents enemies from getting killed right away. Could cause some awkward situations. But for the most part, we're just going to roll right over it. So we're going to come here to the boss, and we're just going to start just holding down Spark as much as we can. Ooh. So the Bone Lord here is actually a great boss to see. I know he's kind of a joke, but he's just a boss that we're not even going to have to dodge at all, and we're just spamming our cooldowns. So this is even without the cooldown shrine active. We're just continuously popping our cooldowns here. I'm going to dodge that. And then, yeah, as you can see, even our teleport comes back very quickly. It does feel a little bit awkward this season to not use Flame Shield, but you know, seems to work for me. So we get a whole bunch of gear. Our pet picks it all up. And let's just go over the gear real quick. So obviously, Harlequin Crest, cooldown reduction is pretty good. Tyrael's Might's giving us movement speed, which is very nice. It's going to give us critical strike chance, giving us maximum resistance to all of the elements, and a whole boatload of resistances. As you can see, we're capped on fire res and cold res right now. You're getting close on the other three, and you can actually go above 85%. If I take this off, you'll see that we're still capped on resistances, so that 87% resistance is all wasted, but the damage reduction is very, very nice, especially because this stacks together with the damage reduction from our Harlequin Crest, but they don't actually like add together. So, you know, this should be 54%. If I take this off, you know, it goes down to 20%. So there is a little bit of diminishing returns on the number, but it's still giving you like the full value of what you'd expect. On gear, looking for critical strike chance, attack speed, and critical strike damage basically everywhere. Ideally, I'd switch these gloves out for intelligence to get critical strike chance, except I've had terrible tempering luck with gloves. And so, yeah, we're looking for critical strike damage on tempers everywhere you could possibly put it. And then lucky hit chance to freeze is super ideal here because of this node down here, Horror Frost. And what this makes it so that elites that survive getting hit will eventually get frozen, and then they'll take more damage. And then while we're down here, there's another little piece of tech, and this is conduction. This works a little bit differently than I thought it did originally. And I never took this on any of my builds before, and I think it was messing up because it could have made the ball lightning build really good. So what this does is it gives you 4% movement speed per skill that crits. And so like if you throw out a single spear, it'll only give you 4% movement speed. But when you have a ton of spears and a ton of sparks, this will actually cap out your Esu's heirloom because your maximum movement speed is 200%, which gives you 100% bonus movement speed, which means that you get whatever the aspect roll is you have here. So you can see right now it says 22.4. If I dodge, it's going to go up to 37%. And so we just get the full value here. And so don't even really need to like masterwork the movement speed here probably. I probably will want to eventually redo these boots to aim for that critical strike damage. Maybe just get a different pair of them though. On weapon, the big thing I want to point out here is that on one of them, you want to get either a lucky hit chance for poison or shadow damage to make your Talrasha go. Whereas on the other one, you're going to get chance for a second lightning spear when cast. I think this is probably the best option here. I don't believe that the additional cast of Spark gives you any sort of extra stuff for unstable currents. This could be wrong. Maybe we'll update this in the future, but this just gives you a chance that your lightning spears are going to be 3 of them. Hey, I looked at procced instead of just 2. And then the rest of the gear, look for attack speed, critical. Talrasha's cooldown reduction and non-physical are both really good hits here. And then on amulet, look for like attack speed, critical strike chance, and conjuration mastery is like the ideal perfect one to hit here. Unstable currents, cooldown, critical strike damage, both really, really important. In terms of the passive tree too, if you don't have a Harlequin Crest, you're going to need to like sneak a point out of something down there to put a point into Firebolt. So you can use that as an enchantment. Since I do have Harlequin, I can just use whatever skill I want for my enchantment. But, you know, if you don't have Harlequin, that's obviously going to be an issue. In terms of the whole Paragon tree, probably the best way for you to look at this is to hop in the Mobalytics planner that I'm going to link down in the description down below. We're using 8 total glyphs, kind of a crazy long board here. And we're picking up stuff like Elemental Summoner. We're also picking up Frigid Fate. And these are just going to give us quite a bit of damage. Now, one thing I do want to point out is the Enchanter glyph. So this is pretty much in every single sorcerer build because of Frigid Fate. So Frigid Fate now gives us up to 60% multiplicative damage. Literally every single sorc runs this. It's kind of crazy. But if I take off this and I lose 60% non-physical damage, right now we're only losing 7% multiplicative damage. And our elemental summoner is still capped out. And so one of my goals for the build is to eventually drop this out of the build and put something else in there, like maybe territorial, but probably control if I'm looking for damage. This doesn't really help us all that much versus bosses, but like pretty much everything we're hitting is getting stunned nonstop for like 20%. And so probably once I get enough, like a better roll probably on my Taurashas or something, that particular Paragon thing will be getting the boot here. Also, another thing is I'm using all intelligence gems in my gear just because I'm kind of going glass cannon, obviously not playing hardcore, and I don't really think that rubies are all that important right now. I might be, if I'm trying to push the pit even farther or trying to do like, tier 8 Inferno Hordes or something, maybe I'll change my tune. But intelligence is just incredibly strong right now. So previously it used to take 100 intelligence to give you 10% multiplicative more damage from the stat. But now for every 80 intelligence, you get the same amount. And so getting 100 intelligence is even more intelligence in terms of damage than ever was before. This also helps resistances. I don't have resistances really on any of my gear. Even if I take off of my Tyrael's Might, even if I take off this that has probably the most resist, we're pretty much capped out thanks to how much stinking intelligence we have, which is a pretty good feeling. And yeah, that's pretty much the setup. If you're interested in checking out more details, like I said, down in the description below, we have the Mobalytics builder. And hopefully this helps you have a fun time in the season. Let me know what you guys are playing. I've seen a lot of sorcs hanging out there at world bosses and towns and stuff. So it's been really exciting kind of seeing like everybody checking out the new builds and all the new uniques and all the changes. And I hope you guys are having a blast because I'm having a blast. Come by the stream and thanks so much. We'll see you again next time.